The Galaxy Note 8 was released in late 2017. I've been able to put it through its paces over the last 4 months. I want to give you my thoughts, things I like, things I don't like, and just my final overall opinion on this phone. Let's get started. Hey, welcome to Tech Jungle. Here you can find news, reviews, and up-to-date information on all the wonderful technology existing in our beautiful world today. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button below so you can stay up to date on all future content. Now let's get started. Right off the bat, the Galaxy Note 8, it's a terrific phone. I was an iPhone user for the previous 5 years, and just to give you kind of a glimpse of that, let's take a look. Here's the iPhone 5. This is the first iPhone that I ever purchased. Awesome phone. Great build quality, excellent display. I was hooked right off the bat. And here we have the iPhone 5S. Another great phone, introduced the fingerprint reader. Following that, we have the iPhone 6 Plus. Another great phone, Apple's first phablet. Terrific design, excellent build quality, and overall, a great phone. And here we have the iPhone 6S. This was a great phone because it was pocketable and it introduced the 3D touch on the screen. So it was a great phone and I loved it. Then I picked up the iPhone 7 Plus. I had that phone for about a year. And then when Samsung announced the Note 8, I went ahead and sold that one on Craigslist for about 500 bucks. And I used that to pick up the Note 8. And so now we have the Note 8 and let's dig in. Okay, so let's go over the specs here. You have a 6.3 inch Super AMOLED display with vibrant colors, 521 pixels per square inch, Corning Gorilla Glass 5. You have a 3D touch home button. The phone is IP68 certified, which means it's dust and waterproof up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. At the top of the display, you have the earpiece for taking calls, an 8 megapixel wide angle lens that shoots at 1.7 aperture, an iris scanner, and you also have the facial recognition software built into the phone. Since we have the United States version of this phone, you have a Snapdragon 835 chipset with an octa-core CPU running at 2.35 gigahertz, an Adreno 540 GPU. The Note 8 is currently running the Android 7.1.1 Nougat software. Still waiting on the 8.0 Oreo update, which should be coming out pretty soon. On top, you have an SD card and a microphone. On the right, you have your power button. On the left, you have your volume rocker and Bixby button. On the bottom, from left to right, you have your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, USB-C charging port, microphone, speaker, and S Pen. On the back, you have your dual 12 megapixel cameras. The camera on the left is a telephoto lens that shoots at 2.4 aperture, and the camera on the right is a wide angle lens that shoots at 1.7 aperture. Both lenses are optical image stabilized. You have an LED flash, and to finish it off, you have the fingerprint reader. The build quality of this phone is remarkable. You have Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back panels with a aluminum 7000 series frame. So it's a sturdy frame with highly rated glass on front and back. However, I would not suggest using this phone without a case, as it's been prone to damage pretty quickly, even with one drop. Okay, so what I want to do here is list some things that I don't like, come back with some arguments about things that I do like, and then wrap it up in one nice summary. First off, things that I don't like. The first one at the top of my list has to be battery. The battery on this phone is 3300 milliamps, which to me honestly is just not enough to power a phone with a screen this large and a screen that can get super bright. If you put it on auto brightness, it gets up to 1000 nits brightness, which is crazy bright for a phone, and really honestly, that's going to drain your battery quickly. The second issue I have with this phone has to be the single bottom firing speaker. It's loud, but it doesn't give you that immersive audio that a speaker at the top and the bottom would. If you had one in the earpiece, one in the bottom, it would give you that stereo feel that you're looking for when you're watching content in landscape. Plus, you would just get a more overall pleasurable audio experience with two speakers. Coming up at number 3 has to do with the curved edges. Now, it is a beautiful design when you're looking at the phone from afar, or you're just looking at the phone in portrait mode. However, if you're watching content in landscape mode, it can get a little annoying having the curved edges kind of reflect light on the edges of the screen, so you're not really getting a full viewing experience. One other issue I have noticed is that when I'm trying to use the S Pen to capture a specific screenshot, I have to make sure I'm precise when I'm using the S Pen towards the edges, because it'll cut the content off if it's not really registering it correctly. And lastly, for my gripes, the Bixby button. I'm just not a fan of where Samsung put this button. They shouldn't have included a button at all, and I know a lot of other YouTubers say the same thing, and I agree with them. A Bixby button just wasn't needed. You could have used the software in a different way, kind of like how we use OK Google to get our phones to wake up or to get our phones to respond to our verbal communication. So having a Bixby button really wasn't a good idea, especially when you look at its placement. It's right under the volume rocker, so if you have Bixby activated and you press down on the volume button, you may actually be pressing down on the Bixby button and you're activating a totally different response to the phone. Okay, so now that we're out of the woods with everything that I don't like, let's go into all the things that I do like, because trust me, there are a lot more things that I do like with this phone, things that just make me fall in love with this phone every time I use them. Number one has to be the display. The display is beautiful, it's vibrant, crisp, colorful, saturated. There's so many adjectives you can use to describe this display. It's just beautiful. And Samsung does give you the option to tone it down. You can use the basic mode or any mode in between. Me personally, I do like using the basic mode sometimes, but a lot of times you can find me just using the adaptive mode because the colors just pop, and it's just a phone that you just wouldn't do it justice by using anything other than adaptive mode for the most part. So the display here is great. It's the best of the best, and you're not going to find another display that's better than this. So if you're looking for a phone with a great display, this is the one to get. Next thing that's up is the fast charging on this phone. You have a small battery, however, Samsung does give you the option right out of the box to fast charge this phone. So you can come home on a battery that's 20% charged, put it on your dock or plug it in, and within an hour you're going to have almost a full charge on your phone. So kudos to Samsung for allowing you to have this option right out of the box. There's no accessories you have to buy. It's right there, ready to go, waiting for you to just fast charge your phone. So fast charging for me has saved me a lot of the times. I just plug my phone up, and within 30 minutes I have 40% extra that I didn't have when I first plugged it in. Next up has to be the build quality of this phone. Is just a solid piece of hardware. It feels substantial, it feels luxurious in the hand. And I can't say enough about these phones that Samsung comes out with and Apple comes out with that just feels like well-built pieces of machinery. And it is a pocket computer, and it feels like one. It feels substantial. It feels like you can get a lot of things done just based on the build quality alone. So I give Samsung a lot of props for engineering something so elegant and something so substantial in the hand. You couldn't say that about Samsung a few years back, but they've come a long way, and now their phones are just incredible. You can't top off your favorites list without at least including or acknowledging the 3.5mm headphone jack. For Samsung to still have the courage to keep this around is just a testament to how they are looking out for the customers first. And I've used this headphone jack almost every single day. So for Samsung to keep the 3.5mm headphone jack is excellent. Thank you, Samsung. One of the new features that Samsung introduced with the Note 8 is having the dual lens setup. So now you have a wide angle and a telephoto lens, and you're able to get some really clean, crisp shots, especially in low light, and you're able to get that bokeh effect as well, which is just an excellent feature. I know the iPhone 7 started it, but Samsung has done a good job implementing it as well. And as you can see in these test shots and photos, it's just a great overall camera. And I'm pleased to have this as just one of my arsenals for taking pictures and taking videos. So you can really just upgrade your photography game with this camera. And last but not least, let's talk about the S Pen. This is one of the major selling points with the Note 8. I have mentioned in a previous video just how much I like the S Pen. There's just so many ways you can use this pen. You can use it as a navigating tool. You can use it to jot down notes. You can use it to sign PDFs if you need to, take screenshots, make GIFs. There's just so much functionality in this S Pen, and it really does provide an additional level of functionality when using this phone. And I think it's just a great overall tool, and a great job Samsung for just making this S Pen better and better with each iteration. And to summarize my thoughts about the Galaxy Note 8, despite some of its shortcomings, you know, having a small battery life, a single firing speaker, the Bixby button, the Note 8 just excels in so many other categories, and it just continues to impress me with just how well it performs. It's really a step above the competition when it comes to design, performance, and customization, and basically is just a mobile computer in the shape of an elegant phone. And so I feel like the Note 8 is just one of those phones that you're going to see doing really well in 2018, and if you're thinking about picking it up, now's better than ever. So that's my review. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button below. Also, I'd like to know your favorite features on the Note 8, so please drop a comment below. And as always, y'all take care, and I'll see you on the next one.